How you come back, that speaks volumes. And we're going to have a hell of a football team.
Be great on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me how you're with me now. Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd, but still I just look around. Now you with me now? Are you with me now? Whoa.
This is the Big Nasty. Yeah, Big Nasty Hall of Fame Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, baby.
This is Mike Allstott, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're listening to the Cannon Fire Podcast.
Cannon Fire Podcast, brother. You ain't listening, and you're missing out. Woo!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Coming at you today for episode 68. And the Buccaneers play the Giants on Sunday. We're going to break down everything you need to know about that game and some things you might not have already known about that game here today on the show. So welcome back. If you're new around here, I am your host, Rhett. Evan is out sick today. But joining me today is a good buddy of the show and someone we've been trying to get on the show for what seems like forever. And today I am joined by my buddy James, and most people know him as Mr. Bucs Nation. So James, how you doing today, bud?
Doing good, Rhett. Doing real good. Not gonna lie, scared me with that intro. Still didn't get the cue. Still didn't get the cue down. You caught me mid-sip of my drink, so scared me. But hey, I'm doing good.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good, man. It's all about the natural nature of the show. We always catch you when you least expect it. That's the beauty of it.
That is the beauty of it. But yeah, doing good, man. Doing good. Bucs 1-1. Just got a good win against the Panthers.
Oh yeah.
Against the Giants now. So yeah, feeling really good, man. Feeling really good.
Absolutely. So like you said, the Buccaneers coming off of a pretty good win against the Carolina Panthers. Always good to get one of those division games in the win column. And, of course, 1-1, tied for first place in the NFC South right now, so it's got to feel good. And if you want to keep that up, you're going to have to beat this Giants team on Sunday. Now, let's kind of break down the circumstances coming into this game. The 0-2 New York Football Giants are headed to Tampa, and the Buccaneers will try to pick up a critical win at home because after Sunday, they will not see Raymond James Stadium again until November 10th.
Oh,
that's a lot of days without Bucs football in Tampa, James.
That is a lot of days without Bucs football in Tampa. What was the date again? November what?
November 10th.
So almost 2 full months.
Yeah.
About. That's awful.
and I mean, you know, the biggest thing that grinds my gears about it is the fact that after the schedule was dropped, we all reacted to it. We all knew this stretch was coming. And even the NFL schedule makers like, oh, well, you know, if there was one team I could change, really screwed the pooch on is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's fantastic, but nothing was done about it. And the Bucs still have to go on the road for 7 straight weeks. And it's not a pretty stretch of games they've got either. They're facing some top talent, and it'll be rough. But we'll see what this Bucs team is made of.
I mean, bright side, we get to go to more home games to finish out the year, you know, which is, I would say, a little bit better, right?
It'll be cooler outside.
Right. Not just that, too, but, you know, if the Buccaneers come out of this, 7-week-long road trip, you know, in a playoff-esque position, I'd rather have those home games later on in the year so you get more of an advantage to try and secure that playoff spot.
Right, especially towards, if this is a team that's contending, you're going to be rallying in those last few games. And like you said, having the advantage to play at home is something really, really big, especially, let's say, later on in the season, mid-October, end of October, JPP looks like he's coming back. Of course, He's got to get into football shape again, but we said here on the show, if you get a guy like that back, it's going to be because this team is pushing for the playoffs. So those home games are pretty detrimental in that stretch. But taking a look at the New York Giants that come to town this week, I look at the Giants, and I see a team very similar to Carolina in where they crutch themselves on their run game, and they rely heavily on Saquon Barkley in their offense, who, I mean, there's really no question about it. He's probably the best running back in the league right now. The Bucs defense did a good job of shutting down Christian McCaffrey, who I think is the best dual threat running back in the league right now. They held him to 37 yards last week. So the question then becomes, how is this defense going to stand up to the challenge of this Giants offense? Because not only Saquon Barkley, but Daniel Jones is going to be starting his first game as a starter. So that'll be interesting as well. And we know the Bucs normally don't do that great against rookie quarterbacks. So what's your take? And then we'll jump into the statistics of this game.
So a lot of my thought process about, one, how to handle this Giants team goes a lot into what Bruce Arians has said about it in his recent press conferences. Now, Bruce Arians said before they played the Carolina Panthers that Christian McCaffrey, best dual threat running back in the league right now. He said that he used to think it was David Johnson, but then Christian McCaffrey came along, and the Buccaneers did a good job of containing him. Now, they've asked Bruce Arians, how are you going to contain Saquon Barkley? And basically his answer is, we just got to literally swarm him. Like, we just have to get like 4 or 5 guys to just tackle him, you know? And we got to be a sure tackling team. Because if you miss a tackle on Saquon Barkley, he can just go, you know, and he's, you know, he's gone. So basically, that's, and, you know, granted, that's literally like the only way. You know, it's just bring like 3 or 4 guys. Because they even asked Bruce Arians, saying, well, you guys stopped Christian McCaffrey. And Bruce Arians laughed and he said, those guys are on different planets. Yeah. Like, Saquon's faster, he's bigger, he's stronger. Like, it's just a big deal, you know? Yeah. So I think that, what am I trying to say here? I think that, you know, just gang tackle. Oh,
yeah, definitely.
You know, that's the only strategy I can think of right now. and that's the only strategy that Bruce can think of, which is, you know.
And I'll say this, I think that's something that this Bucs team has done a little bit better, is kind of just send players towards the ball. Because a lot of what we had seen, especially in Mike Smith's defense, is not only players who can't tackle, but you would have guys out of position and be 10 yards off of the play, you know, kind of like what it looked like when Greg Olsen was left wide open against Carolina. You just don't really have anybody there. We've seen a little less of that, and when we have seen guys get to the play, you've got 3, 4, or even 5 guys making a play on the ball to get that tackle. So that's what you really like to see. But let me throw some numbers at you about this New York offense. Because, yes, they haven't tasted victory yet, but a lot of people don't seem to realize this Giants team has no problem at all moving the ball on offense. Saquon Barkley averages 7.8 yards per carry, and the now benched Eli Manning found a new favorite target in speedy tight end Evan Ingram. The Giants average 420 yards of offense through 2 weekends. If this doesn't sound like trademark Buccaneers football, I don't know what is, because here's the kicker. Unfortunately for the Giants, the team's defense has surrendered 441 yards per outing and 63 total points in 2 games.
Wow.
I mean, you know, it's such a mixed bag, because people look at this Giants team and they're like, yeah, the Bucs should win. And I agree. I think they should win this game. If the Bucs are going to be a good football team this year, they have to beat the Giants. There really is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If you lose to the Giants at home, it's just not that great of a look. But, I mean, it's going to be a test for this defense, because I'd say when it comes to just pure numbers so far, over these first 2 games, this New York offense seems to be the most proven. I mean, they've got the numbers to show.
You know what it reminds me of, Rhett, is it reminds me of the Buccaneers last year and the year before that, is really high yardage offense, but their defense is just, you know, their defense is giving up as many yards as their offense is getting, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, from what we've seen from the Bucs' perspective, that's not a recipe for success. 2, 5, and 11 seasons in a row with numbers like that. So it sounds like this Giants team is on a path that our team was on the last 2 years, So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be really interesting to see. Like you said, Saquon Barkley, arguably, top 3 running back in the league right now. The guy's only been in the league, 2 years? 1 or 2 years now?
Yeah.
He's going to be a problem. I'm very interested to see how they stop them. But much like in the case of the Carolina Panthers, I think that if you can stop their running back, I don't know how good that Giants offense is going to turn out after that.
Well, and that seems to be the biggest strength of the Bucs defense so far. We kind of said it on the show coming into the season. This is a team that you're not very easily going to be able to run the ball on. And I mean, Saquon Barkley is the type of guy you can hand it to him and send him up the gut, and he's probably not going to get anywhere. But like you said, James, and we can't stop mentioning this, he is a next-level running back. So even if he gets a stretch and just goes all the way around the outside, he's got the speed to do it, and he's a big-body guy who can bounce off some tackles. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team can capitalize, because they are so good at stopping the run. They're really, really good. They stopped the run against San Francisco, against Carolina, we had just mentioned. So it's going to be very, very interesting. But another wild card in this offense for the Giants, we briefly mentioned it, but Eli Manning was benched this week in favor of Giants' first-round pick, Daniel Jones. And if you had told me 2 weeks after the draft that Daniel Jones was going to be starting against the Bucs, I would have laughed at you. And I mean, now it is still kind of funny because, I don't know, that guy was a top 10 pick and people lost their minds.
Yeah, he was the sixth overall pick in the draft, taken right after Devin White. So, it's going to be really interesting to see how he does. We talked about this at the beginning of the show. Bucs don't have a good track record with rookie quarterbacks and backup quarterbacks.
Here's the thing, though. Bruce Arians, 6-0 against rookie quarterbacks. And I believe Byron Leftwich is 3-0 against rookie quarterbacks. I think that's a stat. Okay. No, Todd Bowles, I believe. I'm sorry, not Byron Leftwich, but Todd Bowles, 3-0 against rookie quarterbacks. Evan threw that out at us towards the end of the show last week, and it's really sticking with me because I hope we can keep the streak alive.
Well, I'll tell you what, too, is you just said you'd laugh if you said that Daniel Jones would be starting against the Bucs. I thought the plan was going to be, sit Daniel Jones the whole year. Eli Manning is going to be the starter, and then next year,
right? Right.
But I think that Pat Shurmur, he's feeling a little bit of the heat. His seat's getting a little bit hot. He's probably thinking, I got to do something to get a win here. Just put in the rookie, whatever. Let's just do it now. Maybe that's their thought process. I'm not sure.
The more we break this down, the more I get flashbacks of Dirk Cutter, who was in the hot seat and felt like he had to make a week-by-week decision at quarterback. Yeah. And I mean, we're not talking about a rookie first round. Well, we're not talking about a rookie and a guy who has won 2 Super Bowls. We're talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston. But, kind of a similar situation. Like you said, Shurmur is kind of in the hot seat, and he's going to have to make some changes. So, for their sake, they're going to want to see Daniel Jones win. But I don't know, man. To throw a rookie quarterback into his first game in the NFL against the Buccaneers defense that is hotter than they've ever been right now, I feel like for New York, it's just a recipe for disaster. And they're going to feed it to Barkley as much as they can. Or it's just going to be, Daniel Jones finds someone on a short slant route and they go for there on checkdowns all day.
Well, man, and I've been seeing on social media, I've been seeing, national media say, this is the perfect time to put in Daniel Jones. And I've even seen some Bucs media people say, oh yeah, I guess this is a good time for the Giants to put in Daniel Jones because Bucs fans don't show up to the games and there will be Giants, this will be the coziest away game for Daniel Jones. And I'm sitting here thinking, Shaq Barrett just got 3 sacks on Cam Newton.
Right.
Just got player of the week. Yeah, there might not be a whole heck of a lot of fans there, but this Bucs team's going to bring pressure. Of course they're going to bring pressure. They're one of the most efficient pass rushing teams right now.
Yeah.
So That's what I think the Giants should be worried about. Not like, oh, well, there's going to be fans out there. This will be fun. Worry about defensive linemen coming in Daniel Jones' face, making him make rookie mistakes, and throwing bad passes.
Here's another number I can throw out at you regarding the Bucs pass rush. So per Seth Walder, the Buccaneers have a 60% pass rush win rate through 2 games, which is 4th best in the NFL. So again, this pass rush is really something not to be tampered with. It is going to be a test to see if they can take advantage, because you got to shut down Saquon Barkley, but at the end of the day, you still have to pressure the quarterback. And they did that against Cam Newton. Now we just have to see if they can do it against New York, who arguably, I think, might be a worse offensive line.
Yeah, I'm very interested. I believe big Shaq Barrett guy over here, by the way. Shaq Barrett, I think he's going to be going up against Nate Solder most of the game. So
Solder's
that'll be
no slouch.
Yes, Solder's no slouch, so that's going to be an interesting matchup. But you have Willie Hernandez on that Giants offensive line, big fan of his. After that, it's a little bit up in the air, especially on that right side of the Giants offensive line. That's a little bit of a question mark. Right tackle, that's going to be a little bit interesting. Center, right guard, I'm interested to see how those guys do. And hopefully the Buccaneers get pressure. That's one of the greatest things for a defense. They love playing rookie quarterbacks because you bring enough pressure. The rookie's a rookie, I mean, no rookie is going to be insanely perfect. So I could see Daniel Jones really feeling the pressure, making some bad snap decisions, and being in favor of the Buccaneers defense. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
Definitely. Another thing about this New York team that we can go over, and a really big thing that we've talked about with the Bucs in the past, but so far this season, New York has lost the turnover battle. They've coughed it up 4 times without recording a takeaway. Contrastingly, the Bucs have won 1 game, and they've come pretty close in other based, mostly on their stingy defense. 1 offensive touchdown only allowed so far, and they'll really have to wake up offensively against the Giants, because you look at the defense, we just talked about the huge amount of numbers they give up. This is a chance for this offense to finally mesh and kind of figure out who's going to get a little more involved, because over these first 2 games, Mike Evans has been kind of scarce. First game against San Francisco, he was throwing up on the sidelines. He had that bug bothering him. Second game, I feel like he wasn't 100% over it. Like, he was out there playing, but I just feel like, he wasn't involved as he could have been. And he was getting double coverage. He's been double coverage more than any other offensive player on the Bucs so far. But I think this game truly is a chance for Jameis Winston to not only get comfortable in finding each and every target that he has, but for these guys to just finally figure it out. And another guy that I point to in this offense that I really want to see step up against New York, and historically he's got a pretty good track record against the Giants, that's O.J. Howard. I almost said O.J. Simpson. O.J. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen him active on Twitter lately. I guess,
dude, he's killing it over there, right?
He really is. He's making videos. He basically chronicled the whole Antonio Brown saga, all based off the perspective of his fantasy football team.
I still think the funniest thing from OJ so far is his first video on Twitter. At the very end, he goes, "I got a little getting even to do." What?
Whoa! I forgot about that one, Rhett.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, that's something. So he's interesting on Twitter, but yeah, OJ Howard. Phenomenal tight end, right? This was supposed to be his breakout year, where OJ's going to be a top 3 tight end. That was supposed to be like his year.
Yeah.
And so far, it's been rough. It's been rough, man. Not just in receiving the ball, but also in pass blocking, and in run blocking. He struggled a little bit. So I definitely want to see him improve here. Like you said, Giants defense. This is the one.
Right.
This is it. This is for everybody to get on track, build that chemistry. Evans, like you said, I kind of thought a similar thing of maybe he's not over that flu. Also double coverage. You want to take away Mike Evans, but then you have Chris Godwin, who we saw have a big game. Brashad Perriman struggled a little bit, which is sad for me because he's one of my guys. But
man, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say that, like, this is the game. This is the game for all that stuff to, get corrected here and really work on it.
Totally. And Rashad Perryman, I'm so upset with him right now because I did like him. I saw him as a great guy with a lot of speed coming from Cleveland. He kind of stepped up his game a little bit because, he was infamous for a very long time with just dropping the ball when he shouldn't be dropping the ball. And that's what we've seen from him these first two games, is he's in situations where he lets go of a football when he should not. I think of that drop touchdown against Carolina. Jameis put it right in the breadbasket, and he just could not hang on to that ball. And then I think about all the wide receiver talent the Bucs carried into the season. You got guys like Justin Watson, who I honestly think deserves a little bit bigger of a shot. Like, I think I'd like to see him in that offense at a bigger capacity. Scotty Miller, who is stuck around, but he's another one of the rookies. But Justin Watson is a guy that I think can fill the spot of Perryman and potentially do a little bit better of a job than Brashad has done so far.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm such a big Brashad Perryman fan. He was one of my guys, and for the big one, that drop touchdown against Carolina.
Yeah.
That hurt my soul. Okay? I was not happy with that, and he does need to get back on track because he looked so good in training camp, and he had some good moments in preseason too. Now it's like, what happened? Like, what happened? Where are your hands? Like, where are your hands now, man? Like, you had him in preseason, so he's just got to get better. Justin Watson, that's definitely an interesting option. Bobo Wilson's still on the roster too, and Bruce Arians has been high on Bobo Wilson recently, saying he's had a good camp. He had some good preseason moments, so he could also get involved in the offense. And then Scotty Miller, that's a big one. He's been inactive for the first two games, so it kind of makes you think, like, what's going on with Scotty Miller? Is he in the doghouse because he was lingering coming back from the injury?
Right.
Is he not doing enough? What's going on there? So Watson, Bobo Wilson, something to consider, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and Bobo Wilson, I like Bobo as a returner. I think he's a solid returner, and during the preseason, I hated seeing Ronald Jones as a returner, and I'm glad that that's not really a thing now.
Oh, yeah.
But Bobo Wilson can fit in there very, very well, and of course, he's a guy where him and Jameis don't have to work on any chemistry because they've played football together for pretty much their entire career so far. So those guys have a natural chemistry, but again, there's just so much you can do at that position with all the talent that we have. So if we have another week from Brashad Perryman, in my opinion, it's no question that he should be moved around and doing something else, because you've got other guys who earn their spot on this team and I think can do just as much as he's doing, and maybe catch the football.
I mean, hey, you know what? Who knows, man? Maybe they put O.J. Howard in the slot, something like that.
Yeah.
See what we do there.
So that'd
be something.
Let me bring something up about O.J. really quick, and I want to get your take on it. So, like you said, O.J., this year was supposed to be his breakout year, and of course, we still have 3 quarters of football left to play, a little more than that. But we haven't seen him show up yet. If he shows up against New York, then that's great. It's exactly what we're looking for. But what are your thoughts on all of these fans saying we should package O.J. Howard and trade him for Jalen Ramsey?
Nope. I
don't understand, dude.
Look, I love everyone, okay? Everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's fine. I saw J.C. Cornell on Twitter. He talked about it, said package O.J. Howard. And that's fine. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But me personally don't agree with that.
I just
don't agree with that.
I look at... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I saw Trevor Sikkema say on Twitter weeks ago, maybe even months ago, he said that O.J. Howard is literally one of the most untouchable players on this Buccaneers team because of how rare of a talent he is at the tight end position. He's got the freakishly athletic size. He's as big as Mike Evans, if not bigger,
He's actually able to block now, which is something he had to work on.
Yeah, and he can block, He's a mismatched nightmare, something that doesn't happen often with tight ends. The guy's as fast as a wide receiver.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's basically a wide receiver in just a larger, bulkier body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember a while ago, Trevor Sikkema tweeted that out and said, like, this guy is literally, like, should be untouchable. So I've seen the people say, package him up, send him out, ship him out. Let's go get Jalen Ramsey. And, my thought process was what happened? I thought we were all on board with O.J. Howard.
I saw on Twitter Thomas Bassinger, a guy that I don't agree with all the time, but he did throw something up that I had to agree with. It was basically what I had said, where 2 weeks ago everyone's saying OJ is the next great tight end on this team. He's going to break out this year. And then now everyone's saying we should package trade him and send him to Jacksonville for Jalen Ramsey. You might hurt yourself flip-flopping that hard. Like, you might actually end up hurting yourself, and we'll have to put you on injured reserve for the rest of the year. But going back to what I was saying, O.J. Howard, we look at all of the hindsight moves that the Buccaneers have made with former talent. Some guys who have been able to blossom like never before on other teams. A lot of them Super Bowl champions. Aqib Talib, LeGarrette Blount. These guys have made things happen.
Most of them going to the Patriots. You
Right.
can add.
Yeah.
You can. Hey, you know who you can add to that list now?
Michael
Caleb
Bennett.
freaking Benenoch.
Caleb Benenoch, yeah, got signed by the Pats a little earlier this week. I remember seeing that. 8 teams worked him out or something?
Yes. What is happening? Caleb Benenoch is a Patriot now. I did not believe it when people told me that, and I said that's not real. And I checked Twitter, and sure enough, Caleb Benenoch is on the freaking Patriots now. He is going to go to the playoffs. He might win a Super Bowl this year. Caleb Benenoch might win a Super Bowl this year, Rhett.
I am so excited to watch the next Patriots game and Caleb Benenoch just completely blow his block, and then Tom Brady gets ass blasted in the pocket. Like, I'm so excited to see how Patriots fans react to that. And who knows? Maybe he'll go up there and elevate his game and be the next the next best offensive lineman that the New England Patriots have. But it's such a weird move. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I didn't think if any team was going to pick him up, I didn't think it was going to be the Patriots. I know he had worked out for the Texans, and I saw some Texas fans saying, like, I'll pass on this guy because I've heard about the horror stories from all the Tampa fans. So,
Oh, yeah.
God, man.
It'll be interesting. See, now you can add Caleb Benenoch to that list. Michael Bennett, Blunt, Talib, Revis, all these players. It all goes back to Steve Young and Bo Jackson at the end of the day. But, it's just like we have a history of players leaving and doing amazing. And I think if you got rid of a guy like O.J. Howard, you would immediately add him to that list.
Yeah. That's just so weird, man. But yeah, O.J. Howard is a guy where if he were to go somewhere, he would be the next George Kittle. And I say that because, like, there was a time where the NFL would not shut up about George Kittle. And, I mean, they probably won't again because San Francisco looks like a pretty good team so far. But, yeah, O.J. Howard would be the next big success story if the Buccaneers moved on from him, which I don't think they're going to do, and which I think a lot of people should stop thinking they're going to do, because Jalen Ramsey demands money up front, and guess what? The Bucs don't have money up front.
Yeah, well, no, I was initially on board with it. I've calmed down since then. It would be fun. You can't say it wouldn't.
No doubt.
You can't say it wouldn't be, but throwing O.J. Howard in, no, I mean, and the people saying, well, he's a bust anyway. Just give it more time, man. It's been 2 weeks. Everybody said that about Vita Vea. He did great the second half of last year. Everybody said that about Ronald Jones. But what happens whenever you start giving Ronald Jones the ball? He actually looks like a good runner. So, man, it's 2 weeks. We were all on board with him at the start of the year. Just, can we please stay on board for once?
Well, and that's a big thing as well, too, for OJ. It's been 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks, he has not played very good football. I don't think he got targeted at all against Carolina. And then, of course, San Francisco, he had probably the worst game of his career. Yeah. But you brought up guys like Vita Vea and Ronald Jones. I'll say this, for OJ, I don't think it's like a football shape thing. I think it's purely confidence. Because he has not played any game like that before. And to follow it up with a game where you don't get involved whatsoever, I'm sure for him, this game is a chance to really just feel confident in himself again and really get involved in what this offense is trying to do. Because he is a big part in it. And if they want to put points on the board, he's going to have to be a big part in it because you want to utilize all the options that you have if you're Jameis Winston. So I think it's a chance for him to definitely step up and feel a little bit better after this game because, again, the Giants' defense is – I just don't think they're going to have an answer for him. I don't. I think we'll see another one of those big PA rollouts that we normally do where OJ is wide open 30 yards down the field and he just walks right in. Kind of like that play. I think we saw one against New York in that 35-38 game, and then we saw the same play against the Bills. You know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely, yes. I vaguely know what you're talking about.
It's all good.
Well, I was gonna point out too was he had those 2 rough games, and first game, the 49ers linebacking core is pretty good. You have Fred Warner, you have Quan Alexander, D Ford's there. D Ford, I don't really know how good he is at coverage, but you got some fast linebackers there. Week 2, you got Luke Kuechly covering you, and Shaq Thompson's there. That's tough.
And I think in that loss, Luke Kuechly finished with damn near close to 20 tackles, right? He had like 17.
He did. That was, yeah.
He's a guy who can be productive even in a losing football game. Luke Kuechly is a nightmare. Right.
So, he's going to get a softer matchup here against these Giants linebackers. He has to, he will, I think he will have a bounce back game because, this Giants defense, over 400 yards a game. That's not very good.
Right.
So I think that OJ will benefit here. And like you said, confidence thing, I could see that being an issue, especially since his first 2 years, he came in and he was just so good right off the bat.
Yeah.
This is the game to build up his confidence, get him back on track for a lot of people, just this offense in general. But OJ would be one of the biggest boosts, I guess you could say, in terms of confidence, in terms of getting back on track.
And taking a look at some other pieces of this offense, we talked about building confidence. I think another guy that we should talk about for a second is quarterback Jameis Winston. He had a fairly good game against Carolina. Wasn't a superstar game, but he didn't turn the ball over, and he didn't make any costly mistakes, except for that near interception against the guy we were just talking about, Luke Kuechly. But other than that, a fairly clean game for Jameis. But I'll say the first half of that game, he wasn't as confident as he could have been. We saw him come out, look a little anxious, got some happy feet in the pocket. This is a chance for him to just capitalize and kind of improve on what he showed us against Carolina because, again, this Giants defense is not that great. So if you're going to slice and dice anyone up, it's going to be these guys. And with a chance to do that, you can build your confidence. You can feel a little bit better. Just don't turn the ball over. Please don't turn the ball over because this is the Giants team who has shown that they can't turn the ball over. So I think Jameis is in a position where it's really going to be on him how he ends up playing this week.
Oh yeah, man. Last week against the Panthers, it did. You said he looked anxious. To me, he looked like worried. He looked like he was sitting there, and the only thing going through in his mind was like, "Don't turn the ball over. Just do not turn the ball over, Jameis." He's just telling himself that. He looked like his life depended on it. Fair credit, he had a good game. So I'm not saying he should think that way every game, but he didn't. He almost didn't look like Jameis out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he looked very composed.
Right. Which, hey. If composed Jameis means no turnovers, keep on being composed, man. Do whatever you got to do. But I do want to see the momentum's back in his favor. He had that really bad game against San Francisco, came in, really cleaned up some stuff against Carolina, was spotless. So the Giants is just another game to just keep on throwing that momentum towards his direction. He's literally people are saying, "Oh, this is the perfect game for Daniel Jones." This is the perfect game for Jameis Winston.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's whatever. It's national media. You know how it is, man. All the time.
So, let's talk about the national media really quick. Believe it or not, there's a lot of outlets picking the Bucs to win this game. Something we don't see very often.
Praise the Lord.
Right?
He is good. Oh man, it's about time. Geez. Our defense is coming together. Offense improved last week dramatically. it was pretty shocking how good, or how efficient, not even efficient, but how mistake-free our offense was,
Right.
We didn't have any, like, Bucs plays, like bad Bucs plays.
Except for calling 2 timeouts in a row, but you can't really put that on the offense.
Right, and Bruce even said about that. He was like, yeah, it was my bad. I messed up. But, whatever. That's fine. I didn't even know you could call 2 timeouts in a row, honestly.
I didn't think they would let you.
I did not think that was allowed, but they did it somehow. But,
oh, man.
So that's good. That's good that they're finally working on it. We still don't, it's weird. I read those power rankings sometimes.
Yeah.
And we beat the Panthers, and they're 0-2, okay, Rhett?
Yeah, I'm following.
And teams still have the Panthers above us in the power rankings. I don't know why that's the case.
In the same breath that we just said the national media picked the Bucs to win this week, that's just the national media, James. You and I both know that the people who make those power ranking lists do not watch Tampa Bay football.
That's true. That's
as
true,
sad
man.
as it is, it's a harsh truth, but at the end of the day, it's stuff I typically don't pay attention to, but I won't lie. When I see one of those power ranking videos pop up and you can see the Bucs move up positions, makes you feel a little bit good. Gives me that warm feeling in my chest. I'm like, yeah, we're getting somewhere.
Oh yeah, just keep on bumping us up, man. National media, can you get on board with us, please? Finally, it's been years now.
Yeah, really.
I think they're scared. I think they're scared because they had the Hard Knocks year. We had the Hard Knocks year, and everybody was like, okay, yeah. National media's like, let's do it. And then we just really, really let down their expectations. So now they're like, no, we're not going to touch you guys anymore. It's fine. You know?
Really. Yeah,
but
really.
I will say this, man. I mean, that defense, our defense does deserve national credit, okay? It has been such a bright spot to this team so far.
Absolutely. Todd Bowles is a guy who deserves all the credit in the world because what we're seeing with this new scheme, we're just seeing guys play to the absolute best of their abilities. Ever since this new scheme has been implemented, Vernon Hargreaves III looks like a first-round pick. Shaq Barrett, again, has really stepped up. Kevin Minter in a backup position looks great. I mean,
oh yeah,
they know how to use these guys, and they know what they're good at and what they're not. And, when you're able to do that, you occasionally find guys getting into a groove like Shaq Barrett did, because you look at all 3 of his sacks, it really wasn't any help that he had. I mean, I'm not going to say that, having those 2 big hosses in the middle, Vita Vea and Ndamukong, isn't going to help you out getting pressure on the quarterback.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Shaq Barrett was simply beating the offensive tackle. Like, that's how it was, So when these guys are playing to their strengths, it's amazing to think of what they can do. 3 sacks in one game, NFC Player of the Week, I'll take it.
Yeah, that is a good point. Is we're kind of slowly getting a little bit more recognition. Shaq Barrett, Defensive Player of the Week. That was awesome to see.
Yeah, first player to do it on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since 2015.
Ooh, it's been 4 years
since a defensive player has won NFC Player of the Week for the Bucs. Yes,
that's upsetting. But I saw Shaq on Good Morning Football. That was great to see. Reminded me a lot of Jacquez Smith when he was like on a NFL Football Live or something like that, when he was the sack leader like 5-6 years ago. That's what it reminds me of. But then Jacquez Smith went down with injury. So, Shaq Barrett, hey, he's 6 sacks away now from double-digit sacks. He's already at 4 in 2 games. That's insane to me.
That's the crazy part, is when you compare this defense to past year's defense. I remember the first year we had JPP, and he was productive, right? Where everybody's counting down till he gets to double-digit sacks because nobody's done it in a while. He ends up finishing with a great year. But like you said, Shaq Barrett already almost halfway there through 2 games. So it really leads me to believe that there are going to be some very, very productive moments from not only Shaq Barrett, but just other guys on this defense throughout the rest of the year. And, I mean, you basically just can't say enough good things about this defense.
No, that's what I'm saying, man. Is this defense right now top 10 at least top 10 defense right now. And I don't think that's me being overly optimistic. I think that I know it's only been 2 weeks, but man, they've looked good for 2 weeks. Jimmy G, the golden boy, essentially, of San Francisco now, they held him in check with relative ease. And then you stop a combination of Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey. And I know Cam Newton, he's not 100%, and that's fine, but it's still former number one overall pick, former Super Bowl, appearance, former MVP quarterback, Cam freaking Newton,
Right.
You stopped a former MVP, a former Super Bowl appearance guy, and Christian McCaffrey, top 5 running back in the game. That's tough for that defense to do. If this was the defense last year, no way that would have happened.
Well, then why do let's look at the last time the Giants played the Bucs. The final score, 38-35.
Yeah.
I do not believe for a minute that either of these teams are going to score more than 30 points on Sunday. And if they do, it'll be because the Buccaneers have a pick 6.
Right, yeah.
This is just such a different brand of Tampa Bay football. And I'll be honest, we've been doing this show for close to 3 years. It's kind of hard to predict now. Because I did not expect this defense to come out and be the strong point of this football team. I truly did not, and I'm very excited that it is.
No, you're right, man. It is really surprising. I know that everybody wants to see that kind of air raid, just go, 400 passing yards a game offense that we saw from Todd Monken and from Dirk Cutter, and that was fun. But what I think that we're seeing now, what Bruce Arians has basically admitted to, is that we're a team that's going to have a good defense, and we're a team that's going to run the ball a lot. He said, he said that multiple times. So I think the days of this insane, let's just throw it 50 times a game and get Jameis Winston 400 yards. Sure, he throws 4 picks or something like that, but hey, he threw for 400 yards, so that's
hey, the
fun.
Bucs are a top 10 defense at the end of the year, so yeah, none of that matters.
Yeah,
you go 5-11 again, though.
Yeah, so what I think now is what we're seeing is the defense is just looking great, and the offense is going to be efficient enough to win us games, And I like that. I kind of like that. It's good. It limits. It doesn't limit Jameis Winston, but it takes a lot of that off of him.
Well, and that's something as well that we've talked about for so many years with Jameis, is that he's never had a defense, he's never had an offensive line, he's never had a run game, and so far it looks like he has all 3 of those things this season. The offensive line looks fairly good. They look really, really good in run blocking. And opening up lanes for guys to run. And I wanted to talk about the running backs here in a second. But the defense, of course, we just talked about how good they look. So for Jameis Winston, he has less pressure, but I'll say that his expectations have been lowered a little bit in my book, because I'm not expecting Jameis to throw for 400 yards every week. I am totally okay with a stat line that says 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's A-okay for me.
Oh my gosh, I'd be crying, tears of joy if Jameis did that every week. That'd be great, But that's I know people don't like that. They want to see Jameis Winston go out there, get the big flashy stats and whatnot. But who cares as long as we're winning games?
Exactly.
Jameis ain't gonna care as long as we're winning games. Oh man, I didn't have 400 yards, but we won the game. Yeah, it's but you won the game. Who cares if we go to the playoffs or something like that, or we have a winning season? None of that matters. Yeah. The 400 yards is nice, but if you're 5-11 2 years in a row, cough cough Dirk Cutter era, then it doesn't matter how many yards you get.
Yeah. And when it does come to Jameis, I'll say this before we kind of move on, and we'll go over the running backs, and then we'll do a little bit of a checklist about what the Bucs need to do here. But last thing I'll say about Jameis Winston. You don't expect those superstar games from him anymore. You really don't need him to throw for that many yards. But I'll say this. For him to prove that he is a franchise quarterback, which, he holds franchise records, and that's fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, like you said, we're not winning games. For him to prove that things are really starting to look his way at the quarterback position, and he's finally starting to get his grips on things, I need him to have one of those moments. And by one of those moments, I mean, let's say this Sunday, 24 to 20.
Okay.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers get the ball their own 20-yard line after a touchback. They've got 1:48 left on the clock. One timeout. I would like to see Jameis Winston confidently and competently lead the offense down the field and put up that big game-winning touchdown. Because to me, that's integrity that a franchise quarterback should be trusted to do. And I like Jameis. I want him to succeed. But right now, if you put him in that position, just like we were against San Francisco,
I was just about to say,
I don't entirely trust that it can get done. And I need to see that from him before I'm entirely sold. Because, yes, he doesn't have to be a superstar, but he can't be throwing interceptions on drives that are supposed to win us a game.
Right, exactly. You know, like, everybody likes to see hero Jameis sometimes, but like what you said, like, and while we don't need to see that all the time, there are moments where you need to see, can your quarterback be clutch?
Right.
And he had that moment. He had the chance in San Francisco. Things did not go his way. He needs to prove himself now, redeem himself in a way as well. So if that opportunity comes up against the Giants, that will be a very interesting thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Is how Jameis Winston does in that clutch scenario. So yeah, I agree with you, man. He really does need to. I'm not saying let's give him an opportunity like that. Let's almost lose the game. But if that comes up, that's one of the things where you go, okay, if he gets this, if he can do it, we can sit there and kind of get back on it. I'm not saying that we're off the Jameis Winston train, but it's just like he needs to prove himself again.
Yeah. Yeah, because he can put up the numbers. We've seen it before. He's a talented guy. And listen, with as bad as the Giants' defensive, he can probably throw for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns this week, and that's fine and dandy. But it's just those moments that characterize a franchise quarterback. And we haven't seen one of those moments from Jameis in quite some time. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if we'll get the opportunity to see it against New York because I personally don't see this game coming down to the wire like that. You never know, any given Sunday in the NFL. But
True.
Even if we don't get that opportunity from Jameis this week, it would be nice to see it sometime before the season is over. One last thing we'll talk about on the offense, and then we'll do a quick checklist of what the Bucs need to do to win this game. The running game, I'm very excited. Because what we've seen so far is that Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones are both very productive running backs. And depending on who they throw in there, they could throw both of them in there. You really never know because it's a week-by-week thing. I'm just excited to see what they can do because this Giants defense, again, you kind of point to their weaknesses. They give up quite a bit of yards, and I'm expecting some of those yards to be on the ground this week, right?
Yeah, it'll be interesting, man. I think the plan usually has been the first 2 weeks at least is Peyton Barber gets the first crack. Depending on how he does, either Ronald Jones will get some more work or he'll kind of only get a few touches. I think that's been the process through the first 2 games.
Yeah.
So they've both looked great. I think you could have either one be your starting running back for a full game, and they would both do really good. So I really want to see this run game. Like we said earlier, Bruce Arians, he seemingly wants to be a run-first team now. Which is going to be interesting, and it'll be cool because initially everybody thought Peyton Barber. I saw Bucs fans were kind of wishy-washy about Peyton Barber, but he's come in and he's done the work.
Oh yes.
So, and for Ronald Jones to have the bounce back that he's had so far, especially given the year he had last year, where Dirk Cutter Dirk Cutter didn't play him. So now Bruce Arians says, I'm going to give you a chance, and he's taken that chance, and he's literally running with it.
I see what you did.
Ah, there you go. I'm sure everybody has used that joke. But, it'll be nice to see. I'm excited about the run game, too. I think that we have a legitimate rushing attack in both of those guys. Against this New York Giants team, like we've said, their linebackers are a bit iffy. This should be a game where I could see both of them excelling. You know, much like in week 1, or maybe not so much week 1, but I could see, like I said, this is a game where I could see both of them getting maybe like over 10 carries apiece, maybe depending on how the game flow goes, and both of them having a productive day.
Yeah. If I've got to predict anything, I think this is the game that Ronald Jones finally breaks that big one. Whether it's for a touchdown or not, I think he'll maybe have a 15-plus yard run, and that'll be pretty cool to see. So,
yeah.
The running backs, we're going to look for them to be productive. The offense is going to have to mesh. So, let's do a quick checklist of what the Bucs have to do to win this football game, and then we're going to pack up and get out of here. So, first things first, on defense, you got to hold Saquon Barkley to under 100 yards. He is a next-level running back and a guy who can basically shape the game. Like, if the offense, if the offense for the Giants can't get anything going, but Saquon has 140 yards plus, this is going to be a close football game whether we like it or not, because you have to have an answer for a guy like that, and that's a big test for the Bucs defense.
Right, I agree 100%. The guy, Saquon, is such a rare talent. I mean, people knocked the Giants. He was drafted number 3 overall, right? In his draft. What was it, 2016 draft, 2017 draft?
I think 2017.
2017 draft. He was drafted number 3 overall, and everybody said, Giants, you suck. But it's like, man, he's so good. Like, it's insane how good Saquon Barkley is.
Yeah.
Like you said, he can shape a game. He can be a game wrecker, for opposing defenses. So you really got to contain him. That's literally that is priority number 1 before anything.
Number 2 in the 2018 draft, by the way. I had to do a quick Google search on that one because it's hard to believe with as good as he is. He's been in the league this is his 2nd year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's kind of crazy to believe.
So he literally is that entire New York Giants offense. More so than I think Christian McCaffrey is for the Carolina Panthers. I think that it's Saquon. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it even crazier is he is so good. Defenses know he's their entire offense, and there still is some situations where they can't do anything about it.
Exactly.
So that's priority number 1. Get Vita Vea on him. Get Ndamukong Suh on him. Get William Golston on him, who's actually been looking pretty decent through these first 2 games in run defense.
Oh, yeah.
If Devin White can go, I don't know if Devin White's going to be able to play in this game or not, but if he can, get Devin White on him. Levante David, get Levante David on Saquon Barkley, like, now. Okay? Like,
do
seriously.
Whatever you've got to do to shut this guy down.
5, 6 guys, I don't care what you got to do. Just get everybody on there. Our defensive backs tackling is going to be really important, too. Considering, we could see a lot of outside stretch runs with Saquon Barkley. How our defensive backs tackle is going to be really important. Jordan Whitehead, I think, is going to be a huge piece into stopping Saquon Barkley.
Oh, yeah. He'll be that last line of defense. And, I mean, he's a guy who so far has proven that he can tackle just about anybody.
Right. So I think justifiably concerned about Saquon Barkley. That is literally priority number 1.
So priority number 1 on the checklist, make sure you hold Saquon Barkley to under 100 yards. Do whatever you got to do to shut that guy down because New York leans on him like a crutch. Second on the checklist, you got to put pressure on Daniel Jones. Yes, we just talked about how much they utilize Saquon Barkley, but Daniel Jones is a rookie coming into his first game in the NFL. You do not want to make things comfortable for him. If you can rattle him in the first half, that's all you got to do, man. He'll be inaccurate, and he'll be kind of scared in the second half. So, number 2 on the checklist, welcome the rookie to the NFL.
Oh, exactly. Shaq Barrett even said when they asked him about it, he smiled and he goes, "Oh, yeah, we're going to welcome him." To paraphrase there. But Shaq Barrett, Carl Nassib, they've looked great as pass rushers so far. Get him in there. Anthony Nelson, really got some momentum going last game against the Panthers.
He had that one tip pass.
Yeah,
every bit of that 6'7" frame. I like that guy.
And he had the forced fumble on a Cam, I believe.
Oh, yeah, very true.
So get some things going with those pass rushers. Suh, Vita Vea, I mean, Lord have mercy on that offensive line because they're going to need it. because those two are just monsters. Those guys are insane. And then you factor in Shaq Barrett. Shaq Barrett literally has all the momentum in the world right now. And you gotta make Jones uncomfortable. I don't care if there might be some Giants fans there, and it's a comfortable away game because there's fans.
Oh, man.
Daniel Jones ain't going to be comfortable if he's got Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett, Carl Nassib in his face consistently, like they've been shown to do in these first two games. So make him uncomfortable. The defensive backs, I think, are still going to continue to be sticky in their coverages, which is going to make it even more difficult for Daniel Jones. You really got to pressure him. I know he's the 6th overall pick, and that's cool. That's awesome. But you really got to bring that pressure, make him uncomfortable, force him to make some bad throws. He will do it if there is pressure. He's a rookie. Rookies do that.
Exactly.
So this will be interesting to see. This is going to be another really important aspect, especially in their halves of the field and stuff like that. If you can force some turnovers or force some punts in their own territory, that's going to be huge.
No doubt. And the last thing on our checklist today has to do with the offensive side of the ball. Offense has really got to mesh, but to do that, this run game has got to get going. So number 3 on the checklist, get the run game going. Like we had just said, you've got a two-headed monster back there with Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones, who have both been productive. But if you can get those guys rolling, that really opens up the door for not only Jameis Winston to get comfortable, but everyone else around them to really just kind of open up. You find your mismatches, you find where you can abuse that Giants defense, and then you just go from there. So get the run game going. That's going to be really, really important to putting numbers on the board.
Oh, exactly. That's going to be so important. It sets up so much for this offense. It's going to make Jameis Winston more comfortable. The running backs are going to have a good day. It's just going to help out so much. It's going to tire out that Giants defense. It's going to be really huge. Because the longer drives that you sustain, the longer those drives go on, the defense is going to be out there more. They're going to be getting tired. Just keep an efficient run game going, and it makes life so much better. We just saw it against the Panthers. When you have a good run game, your offense is in so much of a better position than you having to pass the ball a lot because you're down in a game. So, keep that running game going. Peyton Barber, Ronald Jones, really awesome back so far. Can I add something to the checklist, by the way?
Totally, man. Feel free.
Beautiful. I want to add a 4th point to the checklist, which is, please, for the love of God, clean up the penalties.
Oh, yeah.
Clean up the penalties. 8 accepted penalties in game 1, 12 accepted penalties in game number 2. A lot of these penalties are coming on the offensive side of the ball as well, specifically the offensive line. Can't have that.
It's a lot of we've used the term before, it's a lot of Bucs beating Bucs. It's a lot of stupid penalties that can be avoided, and it just comes down to discipline. So it's stuff that's got to be cleaned up. But yeah, this is a team that, if you're going to beat a team like the Giants, don't let them beat you with your own penalties.
Right, because that's the thing, man. That's the thing is, team like the New York Giants, you might have them in, bad situations. You might be winning, but if you keep on getting these penalties, you let a team like the New York Giants come back into that game, And we can't have that, okay? We just simply can't have that. I think the league average is 5 to 6 penalties. Buccaneers are way above that at this point. One of the most penalized teams in the league right now. Clean it up, because when you clean up those penalties, I guarantee you this Buccaneers team will look so much better than they've looked. You know?
Yeah.
They will look so much better. They won't stop shooting themselves in the foot. They'll be causing even more punts and even more good situations for their offense and defense. So that's a really big thing, I think, so far that has been plaguing this Buccaneers team is penalties. If you clean up those penalties, we're going to be so much better,
Absolutely.
So I would say that's point number 4 is clean up those penalties, man, because it's bad. It's just bad. You're going to give Bruce Arians a heart attack. He can't have that.
Yeah, guy's 66 years old. I mean, he's kicking out there with everything he has.
Yeah, man, so just don't get penalties. Bruce ain't going to handle it. He's got his list, his accountability sheet. You guys know you're going to keep on getting on that sheet and keep on getting yelled at about it, so just tone it down, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am with you 100%, James, and I'm honestly surprised we didn't talk about that sooner. But to be frank, I'm just really, really excited to watch the Buccaneers play football again this Sunday because, yes, it's week 3, but I'm still getting used to seeing these guys on my TV every Sunday. And you know what? I'm damn glad it's finally happening. So there's your checklist, what you got to do to beat the New York Football Giants. They're an 0-2 team. If you're the Bucs, we're going to find out just how good of a team they are because at the end of the day, good teams beat bad teams. But ladies and gentlemen, that's just about going to do it for this episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Thank you so much, James, for coming in and filling in last minute. Really coming in clutch. So before we wrap up, tell us a little bit about your channel and tell us a little bit about that Week 4 watch party you got going on.
So, at Mr. Bucs Nation on YouTube, I talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've been doing it for a couple years now. I think I've been doing it almost a little bit, not as long as you've been doing the Cannon Fire Podcast here. But I've been doing it for a couple of years now. I've been talking about the Bucs. It's been a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun growing the community and whatnot and getting a lot of people involved. So that's all fun. September 29th, I do actually have a game watch meetup type of thing that is going to be at Buffalo Wild Wings. If you guys want to go find out more information about that, you can go to my channel to go check it out. Let me actually, hold on, Rhett. I need to pull it up here. You're
good, man.
Let me pull up the information here.
But it'll be for the Rams game, and it'll be at the Buffalo Wild Wings.
It will be for the Rams game at the Buffalo Wild Wings. Hold on here. Hold your horses, everybody. I'm almost there.
We just got to find out which Buffalo Wild Wings it is.
Yeah, here it is. So it's at the Buffalo Wild Wings, 4075 Park Boulevard North, Pinellas Park, 33781. Buccaneers versus Rams, September 29th, 4:05 Eastern Standard Time. Rhett, you're going to be there, right?
Yes, I am going to do my damnedest to make it out there. If I'm off that day from work, I will definitely be there.
Yeah, so it's the first event I've ever done of something like this. Pretty excited for it. Very excited to see how it goes and whatnot. Having everybody come together as a fan community and whatnot, talking about some Buccaneers football, watching them play the Rams. It should be a lot of fun. So I'm excited to have that event.
Nice. Well, we're very, very excited to be a part of it, and I'm excited to be out there, man. It's going to be a good time watching some Buccaneers football. You can follow me on social media at Redicus on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow my co-host today, James, on social media at Mr. Bucs Nation, Instagram and Twitter. Also check out his YouTube channel as well, where he does almost daily videos about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So a great product from James going on over there. Make sure you follow the show on social media. We are on Facebook at Cannon Fire Podcast, Instagram and Twitter. Same exact thing, Cannon Fire Podcast. And before we go, I've got to let you know about our newest sponsor here on the show. Do you need printing? Do you have an image for your business? Well, Pinecrest Printing has you covered. They've been providing the Tampa Bay business community with quality commercial printing and design since 2001. Their printing professionals are ready to provide you with quality marketing solutions for today's industries. They're also the newest sponsor of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Give them a call at 813-684-5444, or you can check out the website at pinecrestprinting.com. And if you're watching with video on YouTube, you might have noticed over my shoulder, we've got a brand new CFP Pinecrest Printing banner. That's a great sponsor gift for an awesome sponsor, and who knows, maybe we'll have some new goodies to get hooked up with here over the next few months. Stay tuned. pinecrestprinting.com. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening and watching, whether it's on YouTube or BucsReport.com. James, thank you once again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me on, man. Greatly appreciated.
And Evan and I will be back to talk to you guys Monday after the Giants game. So until then, I am Rhett, signing off for James, and we will talk to you later. Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.